So, I've now done. I've completed what I had to set out to do. Now, why do this? Quite simply, I used SDA Serrano's voice in my stories. She didn't like that. And then I told her I'd stop, but I uploaded what I already had done beforehand, which caused some shit. And then Martimus, the mod owner, basically said, I do have a legal claim right there saying no use of AI and anything like that. So, had to, legally, pretty much, remove SDA's voice. Now, I've done that. So, the video should be up pretty soon. 12 o'clock at Australian time. I don't know, do your ESTs and all that sort of stuff. But it's now complete. So now I can get back to continuing what I do, just telling stories. In saying that, I no longer really give a shit. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm a very raw, upfront Aussie. And I don't really care about your feelings. I mean, that's just the way that we work as a country. Most of us, anyway, not all of us, obviously. I'm very blunt, and I don't give two shits if someone's feelings get hurt and what I do. I'm not going to personally attack you. If I do, then I'm obviously in the wrong. But if I do something you don't like and it offends you, boo fucking hurt. All right. I've got a simple philosophy in life. It's what does the boot care for the feelings of the ant? You can't just wait. You have to go forward, and you're obviously going to step on a few ants in your life. But if you're the sort of prick that likes to stomp on them, then you've got some issues. But yeah, look, if I do things with AI and people don't like it, boo fucking who? I mean, I'm simply here just to tell a story. It's a challenge for me because I want to see how long I can continue this. Because obviously I've done no training for this or anything like that. It's a cool little concept to tell a story. It's a cool story I thought in my head with multiple characters where I could turn Skyrim's linear game story into a storybook. And I've been doing this for 2 years, and I set out to do just that, to keep these voices, because I knew these voices I use are essential to Skyrim modding, to my story. Without them, I can't do this at all. So when I set out, it was obviously to never make money or anything like that. It was just to tell a story. That's what it still is 2 years on. I'm just here to tell a story. I'm not here to earn anything from it. I'm also, and this isn't a responsibility of a creator, because that's the gayest word in the fucking world. Just as a decent human being, I like to think that I will obviously not use these voices outside of the story, unless maybe it's for a bit of comedy, where, I'm talking about political shit, and like the modern times right now, like the Palestine, Jerusalem sort of thing, or political stuff like who runs America, all that crap. I don't give a flying fuck of some pissant shit in the Middle East, or who sits on the American throne. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to involve myself with that. As a decent human being, I'm not going to use these voices of real people to, impersonate them or to have them say absolutely cooked shit. Because at the end of the day, these are still the voices of real people. They're only here to narrate a story, to have people come in that really enjoy storytelling or who wish to be inspired by something else, to enhance their own characters, to tell their own story, or those who just want to get lost in a story and follow the characters and all that sort of stuff. That's what this is here for. I don't give two shits if you don't like them. Okay, anything you do in life, this is going to happen. You're going to have people that do not like your stuff, and that's fair. That's fine. But I can't do anything about that, and I'm not going to stop, any of that. It doesn't matter if you've been a fan of my content for years. I'm gonna, if you don't like something and I think you're acting like an idiot, I'll put it to you. I mean, I had one of these dudes continually keep talking shit about like the images I was putting up because they were AI generated, and he was always having a major fuss about it every time I put one up. And one day he's like, I'm going to unsubscribe. And I was like, fucking go for it, dude. Okay? Because at the end of the day, if you're going to hate AI-generated images, but you're going to like AI-generated voices, which take away from singing, and of course people's voice acting, then you're a greedy prick. And then he sent me a message on the Nexus calling me an arsehole. And I was like, fucking dude, I don't care how long you've been here for. I don't give a shit. If I think you're a fuckwit, I'll tell you you're a fuckwit. I'm very blunt that way. And that's kind of, I do blame it on being Australian, and I sometimes forget on the internet that that not everyone else is Australian, and so I come off as a bit raw, very raw. wrong one. So I was meant to do the fucking little goblin thing in Lord of the Rings, but it was that's just who I am. It's what I am. I can't help that. At the end of the day, you don't have to like me as a person. but you can still like my craft. It's like J.K. Rowling. I mean, she's not liked very much by a large section of the community because she's anti-trans. I wouldn't say it's anti-trans, I'd just say she doesn't believe in it because she's an extreme feminist. Her husband used to beat her and belittle her and treat her like a second-class citizen because she was a woman. And the last thing she wants to see is, men dressing up as women and pretending to be women. She's not going to like that. I do not blame her in the sense that she is obviously a feminist. At the same time, she isn't very much liked by that community, but they still love her gear. They still love the Harry Potter universe. So you don't have to like me to like my shit. It's as simple as that. I mean, none of this feels like it's very personal to me when I do these stories. Obviously, it's very personal to me because I'm the one making them, but none of them have anything in common with me. When it comes to any of my political views, I've got none. I don't give a fuck. Who's who, where's what, who's pissed on who's war, I don't give a shit. I'm just simply, quite basically, here just to tell you an Elder Scrolls Skyrim story, in hopes that you'll enjoy the characters, you'll feel something genuine, you'll be inspired to make something yourself, or, take bits and pieces of my characters and throw them onto your own, or you might see a quest that could have very well been played 10 times better, and you do it in your own story, and things like that, because Skyrim storytelling is infinite. I mean, you could put 10 or 3 or 200 PCs beside each other, and none of their Skyrims would be the same in terms of mod or story at all. And that's the lovely thing about it. This is just my story, and the challenge for me is to quite simply keep it going and see how long I can go without making it redundantly boring. Because there's a lot of shows out there where they basically become too saturated. The storytelling just runs out and they just, everyone's been through those where just the story gets shit sooner or later. And so my challenge is just to see how long I can take this for, these characters, their stories, and get really personal with them and make you feel something. That's essentially what it is. But if I'm going to hurt your feelings doing this, boo fucking it. Teaspoon of cement. Gotta harden the fuck up. Alright? I do swear a lot, and I do blame it on being Australian because I'm just born and ruled. If you ever met any of us, the sort of countryside ones, you'll understand. If you ever come to Australia, go and travel in the rural areas and visit a few of the pubs, and you'll definitely understand, me then. But yes, I obviously, back to the whole SDA voice thing. I did hurt. I forgot her name. Shit. I'm the one that told her I did it, and then she cracked the shits at me. So no more telling people I do things. The voice actress, I did hurt her because at the end of the day, like I said, I'm very raw. If someone took my voice into AI, I wouldn't give a shit, unless, of course, they start earning money. Obviously, to her, it's very different, because she's a different person to me. And so, since I'm not, like I said, I don't say it to personally attack people, but it did, so I've removed it. And now we've got the Vanilla Serrana back in order. And other than that, this is what I've done. I'm going to keep it that way. I'm not going to change anything else or this and that. Because I'm done giving a shit. I'm just quite simply here to tell a story. And the people that do enjoy this obviously want the story to go on. I've spent a month fixing this up. I've definitely added new things. Like episode 18, I added a new sequence from the time that Ragni leaves Volguntha back to the Ritual Stones. I've added a small few things here. I've of course fixed up a lot of the dialogue. Like I think I made Serrana a bit too horny in a dialogue when it comes to like sex and nudity. So I kind of fixed a bit of the smut up and things like that. But yes, it's done, and I'm excited for that because I've had a month, right? I've had a month to cook these ideas, and I've got some damn wild plans going on. Not all of them are pieced together, but I know where it's going, and there's going to be some serious shit going on. So when I first started this series, I knew that eventually I would have to get to the Journeys of the Dragonborn, but I didn't know how I was going to handle it or how I was going to do it. And eventually, during the Contractors, the Dark Brotherhood questline, right after Until Death Do We Part, I figured it out. And I decided to, instead of time skip with Ragni, because right after that chapter, I was planning on just having like 2 months later, and she'd rock up in dragon armor, Wall of Companions. But at that time, I thought it was wrong to skip through so much of a story, because it loses that personal impact from the character. So we're going to go back and visit an old friend. Well, I really would call him a friend. So I did this story like 8 or 9 months ago, and I've been getting a lot of things I do, like live streams, like when's the contractor coming back, this and that, when we're going to see this guy again. And, well, since I've now done the Journeys of the Dragonborn, and so much has happened in person with her story, especially now that she lives in solitude for the time being, the contractor's story took him to solitude, but this was before I was doing the Journeys of the Dragonborn. So I thought it'd be befitting to update his story, or at least rewrite the last part of it. You know, so if you've watched this, he goes to solitude and he kills Victoria Vici. That was his thing. But now with the Dragonborn there, well, there's got to be some things. I made him to fix up the plot hole the Dark Brotherhood left in Skyrim's story, because it made no goddamn sense. Either you do the Stormcloak's questline, then all of a sudden you kill the Emperor and his secret police are patrolling around Skyrim, Stormcloak owned Skyrim, or you're doing it in the middle of the Civil War, which makes no sense, because why would the Emperor come to a foreign country, that's in war, in the middle of a war? It made no sense. Or you essentially complete the Civil War with the Imperials, and then you kill your Emperor. That shit made no sense. Right? It made no sense. So I thought the best way to have his story was to play him with the Dragonborn story and make the peace treaty, and it would be an appropriate time for two families on opposing sides to unite in marriage, that sort of thing, the perfect opportunity. So that's how I added him. But I'm still going to be doing that story, but there's going to be a lot more bang to it. So the contractor, he's sort of an antagonist to Skyrim itself. He'll kind of be the closing letter to Skyrim's story as a whole. I mean, his last strike will, I think, close shut Skyrim's story. But, while being Skyrim's antagonist, and now with the Journeys of the Dragonborn, he's going to be a certain someone's antagonist also. Not just an antagonist to Skyrim, but her greatest hero. So, it makes a lot more sense that he would not just become an antagonist to Skyrim itself, but also to the main character. So there's going to be some serious shit going on. There's going to be a massive bang to the story. I wish that would happen at the right time. That would be nice. And so with that, I'm going to be retelling his story. And it's going to have a lot more of a bang, a lot more of a flair, and a lot more of an impact to the story of Skyrim, and of course, the Dragonborn. And I hope you guys really come to enjoy it. Now, it's working up to that. I've gotten the dates pretty close from I think it was the 16th that I had it for Assassination of the Wedding. Even though I've rewritten the story, I could pick any day that I want. But again, we're quite close to the events of Victoria's wedding with her husband, or husband-to-be, for 5 minutes, in the Journeys of the Dragonborn. So, that story is going to cook, and it's going to change things forever. It's going to blow things out of the water. That's all I can say of this story. I mean, yeah, it's going to change a lot of people. It's going to change a lot of things. It's going to change the dynamic of the Journeys of the Dragonborn. And I know that's kind of spoiling some things, but it's birthed a lot of ideas in the last month of how I could do this, and I've got a pretty good staple on how that's going to be. I just make sure that I complete it, and make sure I tell the story that feels like it's right. It doesn't feel like it's used and abused and boring, So hopefully you guys will come to enjoy it. But other than that, I'm going to get out of here, and I guess tomorrow I can actually get to creating something new instead of fixing up what was old. And that would lead me right back into the Shadow of Death story, The Contractor, which will then, kind of spin off a brand new series of, well, a different look for the Dragonborn and her journeys. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in another video, and hopefully the next video will be a new one, and not a older one done. Other than that, catch you guys in another one. Look out yourselves.